Hi, this is Jason Spangler with Cloth Talk 2.0. This is episode 9. Tonight, me and my guest, my co-host, Hank Birdsong, we're going to be talking about little side collections that we have, sort of themed collections that you might get started. Hank, you're going to start us off tonight and show us a collection that a lot of people are chasing right now, which is cancer awareness patches, I believe.
Yep, you bet. And hey, and I wore my 5K Tata Trot pink shirt for cancer awareness that I ran about a year ago. Well, before I had all my neck operation and my broken collarbone and all that junk that made me miss Dixie Fellowship. These are a few like this is from Itty Bap. Their pink flap. You see, it's got the ribbon, the cancer awareness ribbon shown on there, and then Okanichi did one, and it's got the same ribbon here. But all these, this was a group of patches that came out that were for breast cancer awareness. All of them pink. Clahican came up with their own version of a pink flap. It wasn't for breast cancer awareness, but they came up just in the sort of the spoof of the pink was the Pepto-Bismol pink patch they had for a conclave one year. I thought that was pretty funny. What you got as far as a theme collection?
All right, well, I'll tell you what I did. When you go to a National Scout Jamboree and you're walking around trading patches, you can't always find things that you're looking for. So when I went to my first Jamboree as a 16-year-old scout, I'd been in the Order of the Arrow for a couple of years, and all I cared to look for walking around the Jamboree at AP Hill was Santee Lodge flaps. That's all I cared about. But as you might could guess, there ain't a whole lot of those laying around as you're walking miles and miles on Thomas Road. So instead, I had to come up with a theme, and this is kind of what happens to collectors. You have to come up with a side collection. And so one of the patches that I spotted on the side of the road that I thought was really cool was this Kickitan flap from Newport News, Virginia. And of course, it was the Confederate flags on here that caught my eye because even by 1989, that was a little bit on the sort of cutting edge of what was really politically acceptable. And so it got me looking for patches that had the Confederate flag on them. What I come to find out is that there actually were, if you go looking for them, you can find a lot of patches that have the Boy Scout patches that have the Confederate flag on them. And a lot of them will show you this. They're actually from the Confederate War Centennial. This is one from South Carolina, Central South Carolina Council, but it was from the like 1961 through 65. Those have been the years of the Civil War Centennial. So I've got several in my collection, and this is not a collection I've actively worked on in quite a while actually, but I collected these over the years, and these are just Civil War Centennial patches that have the flag on them. And I thought that was kind of cool because I teach South Carolina history. I used to teach South Carolina history when I was doing that public school teaching thing, and so I have a collection of those. And then if you go looking, you can find OA flaps that have the flag on them. They don't allow this anymore. It's probably been about 25 years since they've really allowed anyone to put a Confederate flag on a patch, but you can still go out and find different OA flaps that have them on there. A lot of council strips because some of the southern states kept that design in their flag. A lot of patches from Mississippi have that in there, of course, and the Carolinas, we're all familiar with the East Carolina Council, kept that design for a long, long time. So that's kind of an interesting side collection. Haven't touched it in a long time, don't have it displayed in any way, but for me that was sort of something else to do while I was up at a Jamboree. Tell us one about another one that you've got there, Hank.
Well, I'm going to dovetail on the one you just said. You're talking about Confederate flags and Jamboree. Another thing you find at Jamboree is people making spoof patches with the Confederate flag on it. They're not a official issue, but you know, some people will try to. They'll just have them made themselves. They are not official. If they have a Confederate flag these days, they're not official Boy Scout patches. So don't get sucked in by that. I have a collection that I kind of like. It's of felts, and you can find this is a Unami felt. Probably a lot of folks have seen that, but then you'll find stuff like old Camporee felts. This is an old powwow from 1948. I really don't know what this is. You have any idea?
It could be a camp patch. I have to look up the name.
That's what I was thinking. This one had something that went in the middle. I don't know. It looked like about the size of a um, patrol patch or something. So, but you see some things like this, and you just look at it and you just go, I don't even know what these are. Um, but a lot of times you can pick up. You can see this 1951. You can pick these things up for a couple bucks sometimes. Yeah, you can pick them up pretty cheap. Um, if one ever gets sewn on a uniform, it's pretty much toast at that point. But just finding felt patches makes for a nice display. You can get some real old patches that are pretty interesting, and not have to pay a mint for them. What did you have now? You were talking about an event, things you would get at events.
Yeah, one of the things I've done over the years, I've done a lot of heavy trading at jamborees and NOACs. I don't think I've missed a jamboree or a NOAC for probably 1997 was the last jamboree that I didn't really attend and stay the whole time. But every jamboree since then I've done that. And so, but again, going back to if you're not really collecting the things, if you're just doing a lot of trading and there's not really things you collect, what do you hold on to for your collection? So one decision I made back in 2001 was at every event that I went to, I would keep one patch as kind of a souvenir patch. And that patch would kind of, maybe it was like a really one that I really liked from that year, and it would kind of remind me of that event. And that way, even if I traded or sold off the other ones I traded for, I still have that one patch. And so this is my example from the 2001 Jamboree. A lot of people might recognize this big old Marvel jacket patch. I thought this was really cool. I think this was the first Jamboree they had one of these big Marvel jacket patches, so I held on to that. 2005 Jamboree, that's when the Sobe thing became so super popular. And so this is the Sobe jacket patch from Connecticut. Rivers Council kept that. And then more recently from the 2010 Jamboree, I kept the National Capital Area Council did a nice set that had these challenge coins in them. So these actually have sort of like a metal coin built into the patch, and it's for all branches of the military. And that was really, I thought, a really cool idea. I'd never seen that done before. And my wife works at Fort Bragg, or she works in Fayetteville, which is where Fort Bragg is. So I kind of knew what these challenge coins were and kind of how the military, that's like a big deal. So that was the one I kept. That's the only thing I kept from the 2010 Jamboree other than my core collection. So that's just kind of a fun thing. Sometimes you have to come up with side collections because you're not always going to find the things that you need for your core collection. Well, Hank, tell us about some sort of oddball collections that you have, and you can also close us out for this episode.
You bet. You bet. Well, I'll do some pretty oddball stuff sometimes. You'll see wooden nickels. A lot of times, Solid Lodge gave out a wooden nickels that told when we were going to be hosting the next fellowship. This is the collection that I've got going. It's of meal tickets for the Jamboree. So it's pretty funny stuff. You can get these. Another one that I've done is the passports from our area fellowship over the years, and then another one. This is kind of something that Homer Dearman got me into, collecting generics, where the council, it says your council name, your event here, and you'll see a lot of times you may look at these and go, hey, my council had one of these for that year, and there may have been 50 councils that had that same patch, but all of them just say your council name here, your event, and they would send these to the councils, and the council would go, okay, yeah, that's an easy one. I'll order this. Just put our name on it. I remember going to a Jamboree in 1971 that was this patch exactly. So I know where they got the idea now. But collecting, it doesn't have to be the mainstream stuff. It doesn't have to be CSPs and flaps. Just use your imagination. If you want to collect something that has patches that have wolves on it, or pigs on it, or whatever else you want to do, just do it. It's a lot of fun, and you'll have people at events looking at it and going, hey, that's pretty cool. I've never seen somebody do that before. So think of something that's different and go for it. You'll have a lot of fun. Thanks so much. That's it for episode number 9. We'll be back with episode 10 at some point. Not sure when.